Well, there you go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the newly scheduled Super Remisius, starting at 8:00. Rabbi Feldbaum, before you came in, I just mentioned that we will try to start as close to starting time as possible because Mr. Shabbos, I will probably have another shoot to go to when we finish at 9:00. So there. All right. Let's get down to business. Super Remisius, here we are. Okay, so we said that once the prince was carving wood, he nicked his finger, and the princess ran to bandage his finger and saw a precious stone there, and she was intensely jealous of him. The princess made herself sick. Many doctors came, but were unable to heal her. So sorcerers were called. The princess confided to one of the sorcerers and revealed to him the truth that she made herself sick. In other words, it doesn't say that she pretended sickness. She made herself sick because of her jealousy and asked him if he could cast a spell on someone to become a leper. And this sorcerer said yes. So the princess asked him, but what if he gets another sorcerer to neutralize the spell so that he will be healed? And the sorcerer answered, if the subject used to cast a spell is thrown into the water, it cannot be neutralized any longer. So she did this and threw the object used to cast a spell into the water. The prince became very leprous. He had leprosy on his nose, on his face, and all over his body. And the king engaged in doctors and sorcerers, but to no avail. We're actually witnessing here an astonishing procession of events. This is the sister, that because of jealousy, she basically wanted she hated her brother. Now we said this, the difference between what the daughter represents and the son represents. The daughter represents tzaddikim. I would call it a linear tzaddikim, for lack of a better definition. The Indian that what is the thing that makes a tzaddik, who is a linear tzaddik as opposed to a tzaddik who is a pchinas ben? We said the regular tzaddik, a pchinas daughter, is a tzaddik whose main avoida is pashtus Torah. You can be great tzaddikim, and still they fall into jealousy. As we mentioned in Marsha, and Horaya says that in the middle of the kinnah, the greatest tzaddikim can fall into it. Shaul HaMelech was great, and Shaul HaMelech fell into this. Because we said there's Teres Emes, there's a level of Teres Emes, which is Sodi Satira. That's the Pnimis Satira. That's the analogous to Etzachaim, which is Kulo Tov is completely good. There's no mixture of good and bad in it at all. This is the madriga of a son. The bas is somebody who's holding in Pashas HaTorah. Now, we mentioned this once before. All the Kabbalah Sfarim that we learn, I mean, I wish I was learning, but all the Kabbalah Sfarim that, that we have available, like the Zohar Kodesh, Kisva Arizal, and Tikkun Zohar, and everything which is available to us is Pasha Sater. This is not Sodi Sater. This is not the inside of the Torah. This is the Bechina of the inside of the outside. This is Endoshe Masa Merkava. It's a level that when you're holding there, you're zechet. Anybody can ostensibly, any can open up a Kabbalah Sefer and learn it. But it doesn't mean that they're touching Sodi Sater, that they're touching the Pnimi Sater. All these tzaddikim, all these Mekubalim, all these that learn Kabbalah, Tzchaim, Chassidus, by them it's all Pasha Sater. There's no Pnimius there. In other words, the people that are shaykh to that are not even touching the Ora Pnimi in the Torah. The reason for it is because the midos are not completely refined. When Rabbeinu, speaking Torah Ches Chelek Aleph, Rabbeinu says that the only way that a person can start up with the Rishonim, in other words, get involved in battles that, mean fighting in the trenches, where the action really is. Rabbeinu says it's only when he cleanses his midos in the level of the four elements, Esh, Ruach, Mayim, Ofar. Because the Torah in and on itself, there are certain things that are mutter and certain things that are not. So the question is like, the Torah tells you everything. This is allowed, this is not. But the truth of the matter is that by the Torah, especially Torah Shebichtav, it's not sufficiently clear what is actually a mutter and what's actually chayv, and what is actually forbidden. You have to learn Torah Sheba'al Peh. But even when you learn Torah Sheba'al Peh, Rabbeinu says in this Torah that you have to use tefillah, that will get, that Nara Yotzim Eden, that brook, that river that comes out of Eden. Eden is Ein Lo Rasa. It's a level which is unfathomable at all. But from there comes the Torah for what the Siyata D'Shmaya, to be able to to learn the Shmaisa, to learn the Torah, the Gemara, aliba d'ilchasa. In other words, in the thing that ascertains what the true halacha is. Now, there's a level where you get there. There's a level where you get there that your Torah is or your Torah Emes. But nevertheless, compared to the tzaddik that was able to ascertain Torah on a higher level, is still a Pchinas Chitzonius. Because it doesn't mean you just open up. Obviously, you have to open up Mishnah Berurah, you have to learn Mishnah Berurah, find out, do you understand it, and Bir Halacha, different kind of the latest poskim today, Avod Yosef and Rosh Zaman Auerbach and Chazon Ish, and find out what is actually the halacha. But the kind of learning that we need is a learning that can only be done when there is a nar yotzim eden. You're getting a siyata d'shmaya from way above to ascertain what the halacha is, because what that clean psak halacha, and it doesn't matter what psak is. I mean, you can be the Ben Ish Chai that paskin like this, and you can be the Chazon Ish that paskins like that. You can be the Chafetz Chaim paskins like this, or the Taz, or the Bach, or the Magen Avramo. I mean, each one according to where he's holding. This is the way he ascertains what the psak halacha is. But the level over here is because in the Torah itself, as a raw material, the good and the bad are intermingled. They're mixed together. And being that the Torah itself is unclear, what halacha is clear, what halacha is unclear, it is called the good and the bad are still mixed together. And each and every one of us, we are a mixture of good and bad mixed together on such an extremely fundamental level of Esh Ruach Mayim Afer. And each one of these fundamental levels is there are certain midos that are neigeya to that particular fundamental element. Some good and some bad. If we're talking about the basic element of fire. So the midah is kas and jealousy. These are derivatives of the element of fire. On the other hand, a burning desire to get closer to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and or kina to the Kodesh Baruch Hu, are also the midas is latova that are derived from the element of fire. For the element of offer of earth. So when you're talking about the midah is when it's not refined, you're talking about lethargy, laziness, depression, apathy. But when you purify that, the midah of Pchinas Afer is a steadfastness, is a munah. It allows you to hold your course regardless of what's going on. And the basic idea is when you are being mesaken the midos to such a level that in the elemental level, the good is separated from the bad, then you are Pchinas Kulotov. You're completely good. Then you're Pchinas Ben. When it says is achieved through the limud of Poskim, with totally intent on ascertaining what the halacha is. There are plenty of people who learn Aloha. Baruch Hashem, it's a gewaltige Zach. The learning of the Aloha is, in many, many cases, you want to know basically what you need to do or what you need not to do. In some cases, it's what can I get away with, what I can't get away with. Again, it's still, let's not, look down our noses on this, because there's still a bechina for Yerushalayim, because you care. But that's not Prinos Ben, that's Prinos Bas. And it gets higher and higher and higher. In other words, one can be a Godel B'Torah. In other words, you're very good at it. You can learn about Gemara, you'll remember the poskim and this and that. But there's a negia in there. It's not a totally giving over, not totally Mesiras Nefesh for HaKadosh Baruch Hu in it. It's still Prinos Bas. And when a tzaddik with Prinos Bas is faced with a tzaddik with Prinos Ben, the Mashal says it can produce, even big tzaddikim, it can produce jealousy. And jealousy, and that jealousy, the first thing that it does is it introduces a fake svara, introduces you inventing agendas, claiming that they prove your point. Rabbeinu says in Sefer Amidos that Midas and Nitzochen, the meter of victory, you want to win the ball game, you don't care whether it was a ball or a strike, as long as the call goes your way. That can infect even great tzaddikim, or Prinos Bas. And when their svara, their shita, their point of view is unclean, in other words, the good and the bad were not separated from one another totally. They may not even be aware of the deception. It's a self-deception. But they're willing participants in that deception. There were people that disputed Rabbeinu during Rabbeinu's lifetime. And there were people that disputed Reb Nosson during Reb Nosson's lifetime. And on some, Rabbeinu said, that their machlokes, that their dispute was a totally different inyan, and you couldn't. It's not anything that's neged to simple people. True tzaddikim is Prinos Ben, or Bas, I guess, can be choilek, can dispute a true tzaddik Prinos Ben, and their only kavana is to protect him. Because when a tzaddik Prinos Ben is a very, very precious commodity. So there is a lot of judgments on a tzaddik who is Pchinas Ben. So there, and it's a danger. I mean, it's a danger. It's a life danger. This is not a small thing. It's a life danger. So in order to make sure that they remain in this world, the other tzaddikim dispute them, go against them in order to cover them, in order to protect them, in order to camouflage them. Like when suddenly a tzaddik was such a madrega of emes Pchinas Ben, the big kitrugim in Shemayim. So the minute is another tzaddik in this world that is choilek on him, so Shemayim says, okay, no, it's not obvious to everybody in generation, this tzaddik emes in generation, because the people that are disputing him, so okay, so he can stay in this world. Nevertheless, Rabbeinu said mefurish, there were people that were not just the true tzaddikim, they were great tzaddikim. That because of jealousy, the jealousy turned into hatred. And the hatred, Rabbeinu said, made them the center, the home base of the Sitra Achra in this world. Talk about holy people. They can fall into such a gather. Because it seems to them, those that mean it be'emes, they think that they're simply not mevura, they're not purified. The good and the bad is still not separated. So it seems to them that there's a stira between their Torah and the Torah of the Tzaddik Pchinas Ben. And this is the thing that made the daughter jealous of the son. And really, there's really no steer. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chia, they all revealed the halachas of the Torah. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was Megal in the Zohar Kodesh, how you awaken, and you enlighten the light of Amunah. How you serve Kodesh Baruch Hu with the Shleimim. It's not a steer to Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia. Adaber. Everybody who has a little common sense, you understand that if you praise Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it doesn't belittle Rabbi Yossi or Rabbi Meir. And the same thing with Rabbeinu. If you praise Rabbeinu Arizal, you're not belittling Moshe Cordovero, and so forth and so on. But a person doesn't have a das shleimo, it seems to them there's a steer. The steer, if it's steer, it brings about kina. Then they deceive themselves. Hey, I'm jealous for Hashem, and to the point that they reach, as Rabbeinu said in the story of Pchinas Kishuf. And when we said here that the daughter made herself sick, and doctors came and could not affect any refuah to her, and they called the sorcerers, and she told the truth, it constitutes sometimes a person. We're talking about people, good people that really work hard. And they see that they're not making it to real madrega, real big madrega. It could be smaller people, I'm trying to learn Gemara with Schottenstein, or I'm trying to do this, and I'm not able to hack it. That causes a person to deceive himself. Like he falls into chlish sadas. It's like, I'm never going to make it this anyhow. he's unable to do the simple thing. What is the simple thing? Just learn quickly. Be misamech to yourself with simple mitzvahs. Just do it. He makes himself sick. But there's even a deeper Indian. The many times that we want to get ourselves to the point of doing something that we should not, because we have a great title for it. We're going to do that there. So we sort of like deceive ourselves, we cheat ourselves that I don't feel good, it doesn't, it doesn't give me chiyus, it doesn't work for me, it doesn't this, it doesn't that. Because the ultimate idea is to go ahead and do the things that I know I shouldn't do. This is hidden in this thing that she made herself sick, and all the doctors came. The doctor represented tzaddikim. They came and tried to give her a refuah, try to heal her, but it didn't work until it came to sorcerers. And to the sorcerer, she already admitted that she only made herself sick. Because the whole kavona, the inside kavona of her mind is to get to a sorcerer that will able to affect and do damage. I mean, you're talking about getting to bad places, like bad learnings and really like dirty places. Mamish, it's a very severe thing. And we said she asked the sorcerer if we could make a kishuf that the person will become a leper. And he told her yes. And he says, maybe, you'll find another sorcerer, he'll take it off. He says, you're throwing in the water. And we did it, and she threw the kishuf in the water and it became a leper. Just take a look. The extent of the jealousy in the son, the daughter got so far. She fell into such hatred. She was willing to kill her brother, the real Oved Hashem. And Likutei Halachos, Ilchos Yain, Yain Nesach. How come tzaddikim can come to such a bad place? As Rabbeinu says about Bilam, and Bilam says, he says, "Inei borach lakachti, borach lakachti v'inei berech v'lo shivenu." That from above the light of the Torah comes, totally raw. In other words, unformed. And to every person, the light that comes from above gets formed according to that person's faculties. If a person's mind is deformed, is twisted, whatever information he's going to learn, what he's going to understand from it, what he's going to take out of it is also going to be deformed, according to the tfisa of his mechem. That's the kelim to receive the light. The main tikkun of the kelim and the kilkol, the main thing that decides it is tikkun abris or chas v'chalila fekiet. Everything depends on that. Now, each and every one of us knows, where it is that we are in each one of us is holding in this time. That in truth there's almost nobody who is really clean when it comes to that. Truth be told, I mean, you can see old men. I'm talking about people in their 90s, They're walking in the street, and there's somebody walking that one shouldn't look at, and they're looking back. In your 90s, what are you going to do? It doesn't matter. The age does not matter. Inside our minds, we are all the ages that we ever were. In a certain sense, we're still 3 years old, and 5-year-old, 10-year-olds, definitely 15, 16, early 20s, 30s, 40s. We have all those ages inside us. It's like the age of the body outside that everybody else sees doesn't make a difference. A person can be looking from the outside, you're like a venerable elder, nice beard, nice payas. The only ones that are really, truly clean are the great tzaddikim. What we're knowing, because the tzaddikim agdolim be'emes, yichidei adoros, that were able to glorify in themselves the fact that they actually, in true glory, they were zecher to kedusha amitis. The might and the kedusha there. But the rest, even the elf, even those that are, the tzaddikim said, they're not really clean. Each one according to, to where he's holding. Each one according to what he blemished. This is how each and every one of us has damaged our mental faculties. The minute the mental faculties are damaged, are twisted, the light that comes from above, raw, unformed, gets the form of my mind, my preconceived way of looking at things. And at that point in time, it is impossible to format the light that comes from above properly. There's just no way. And the Yetzer Hara is there on each and every one of us to grab him and to shift him away. Drop us into mistakes. Drop us into the point that he's basically mehapach divrei Elokim chaim. He tells us the good is bad and the bad is good. And not only this, until the people can come and say all kinds of lies about the Ksherei Hador, as if the Bechlal, they're going as a Torah. And Zado Befaked, Al Pi Torah, they should be persecuted, and driven out of Parnasa, Shem Yirachem. All these mistakes come out of Gamma Bris. Gamma Bris damages the mental faculties. And the main kilkul, this is very, very important to understand. The main kilkul comes, is derived from the manhigim, from the leaders. When the leaders are really not totally clean from this taiva, it's not just that they don't really recognize where they're really holding. What are you talking about? Here I am, everybody says I'm a tzaddik, it's just moving this way, and everybody goes, wow, whatever. Look at me, I just come in, everybody stands up, whatever. But when they see that the true Elohim are, don't machnia themselves, they're not, they're not bend before them, are not surrendering before them, they become very upset. They become very jealous of them. Then they're looking at them, with a bad eye. They're trying to find all the blemishes in them. The way that the person wants to go, this is where they find him. The Baal Davar has a koyach to twist them until they get to the point that they say al pi Torah, the tzaddikim b'chinas ben should be persecuted to the point of damaged, harmed. Shemirachim means a lot of lashon hara, a lot of lies, a lot of. And the thing is, okay, you'd say, okay, this is up to them. Why isn't it get to us? I mean, this is not us. We're not talking about us. You know, this is somebody else. I mean, Baruch Hashem, we believe in Rabbeinu, everything else. Well, the thing is, it says that the Ben Melech became very leprous. Leprosy on his face, on his nose, on his face and on his body. Leprosy on the nose, as Rabbeinu says in Torah Beis, signifies the loss of Yira. The Torah Chafalef is in Yeshamayim, so the word the Chaysim, when previous time that we learned. Then the Ben Melech, or anybody who is following the Ben Melech, falls into paranoias, into false fears, and the fact that the leprosy on the face means that the aura upon him doesn't shine to him. He's closed off. And then we say that the tzaras goes all over his body, means that it becomes very difficult for him to sanctify his body. Paul Yaitse from all this. Is the limit that we are learning over here. The kavanah is not, look, we are the good guys. But you should know that the other guys who may look like good guys may actually not be good guys because they're not one of us. And the whole thing becomes like the whole thing that we are talking up against. Whatever it is we're talking against, it becomes that. Like, what business do I have to speak about somebody else? They have a problem, so I have a problem. What's my business? The answer is that it's mashpia. It causes the ones who really want the emes to lose the yira, which is leprosy on the nose, and to lose sight of or upon him, which is leprosy on the face, and have great problems in sanctifying the body. It's not an easy thing. Rabbeinu says, Torah Aleph Chelek Beis, that a Jew was created to have dominion over the angels. Malach HaShorah is talking about the highest of the highest malach. And a person who reaches that, he has to be very careful from the jealousy. Whose jealousy you're talking about? You're talking the jealousy of Malach Michael, of Malach Gavriel, Malach Raphael. You're talking about Malach HaShares, Rebbeinu Shalom. Yep. Because there's a level of Torah that the Malach HaShares cannot get to. And the Jew can. And the Jew, the Malach will have to ask him, what does the Kodesh Baruch Hu say? What does the Kodesh Baruch Hu do? Moshe Rabbeinu, this is what the Medrash says. The Gemara says that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the Shemayim to bring the Torah. The angels said, what is this? What is a mortal being doing between us? They wanted to burn him up. So Baruch Hu said to answer them. So Moshe said, I'm afraid they're going to burn me up, with the mouth. And Moses says, hold onto the Kisa Kovet. They won't be able to do anything to you. Holding into Kisa Kovet means you're connecting to the Shorish Nishmas Yisrael, the totality of Am Yisrael. What is the totality of Am Yisrael? These are Tzadikei Emes. Rabbeinu says, in order to be able to do this, you have to be able to discern who are the true tzaddikim and who are tzaddikim who are actually false. They may be a little bit tzaddikim, they may be a lot tzaddikim, but they're not what they pretend to be or what they think that they are. So being careful from that, staying away from that, because when a person, not you, but when a person is close to people, especially close to tzaddikim, people that are G'dayla b'Torah, it automatically blinds them to the tzaddikims. Look, I'm close to tzaddik XYZ, to Gadol Hador XYZ. What do you want from me? Then you're saying, yes, you have to learn the Kutam Aram, where he says, the Shon Rabbeinu says you can be medayek like an Mikra. So what are you talking about? If you're talking about Rashi, who's a Rishon, okay, I understand you have to medact his Loshen. A tzaddik of 200 years ago, that's not what I was Makabel. Perfectly good Yidden. He would learn Allah, he would learn Gemara. But you have to understand, if you do not realize, you don't have proper Emunas Tzaddikim, the Tzaddik Emes La'amitai, that you can medakdek in every single letter of his Torah, there's a whole swath of emes, of depth that you can't reach. You don't have the kelim to get there. Why? Because you're convinced those tzaddikim, those that you're close to, convinces you that there's nothing to look for in the tzaddik emes. And everything beyond that, the tzaddik was b'chinas bat, is lost to you forever. The Shemaim suffers, let alone that are upon him is b'chalal, hidden from you. And physical tightness are becoming almost impossible to really control. It's a very important Indian, It can sound, when you talk about it, it can sound like, it sounds like partisanship. There's our guys and there's their guys. And if you're in their guys, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. But it's not. It's exceedingly important that you don't get swayed by brand names, even in Torah. That you keep on looking for the tzaddik emes, the true tzaddik. There are a lot of things that will stand in your way. It's a horror, social pressure, innate laziness. It's a horror. The only way that we can come to our tachlis, and therefore, will never be embarrassed, is this little shtickle in Shmoneh Esrei, people are apt to pass over very quickly without really realizing what they're saying. V'ten sachar tov l'chol haboitrim shemcha be'emes, and give a good schar to those who truly trust you. V'sim chalkenu imoim, and put our lot with them. V'lo'il neverish, and we will never be embarrassed. Because in you we trust. Some nuschos in the Tefillah says, "V'shimcha godol be'emes v'sovu nisharanu." Where are you resting on your big, great name? So what are we saying here? Okay, it's part of the Shmoneh Esrei. We just the answer is v'ten sachot l'chol be'emes. These are the tzaddikim, because it's only tzaddikim that have true trust in the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And you're saying, "V'sim chalkenu imoim," and put our chelik with them, who should have a true emunah in their greatness. And it's only through looking for the tzaddik emes and getting close to the tzaddik emes that v'lo'olam lo navosh, we will never ever be, ashamed, not in this world and not the next one. Kivecha batachnu. This is coming close to ascertaining who the tzaddik is and coming close to him is trusting in Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's a true trust. Kivecha batachnu. People that don't have the proper, they're not clean enough to say, "Hey, what are you talking about? Coming close to the tzaddik means you really trust in Kodesh Baruch Hu?" Yes. It seems to you to be like a contradiction? Well, somebody's mental faculties are not clean the way they need to be. It seems a contradiction. That's Bchinas Bas. Jealousy is developed from there. Antagonism is developed from there. Hatred, persecution. But the biggest strategy is that in the meantime, you could have taken quantum leaps in your Shemaim, in the Beis Hashem. L'olam lo navosh. And I'm spending my time, fighting battles which are my own. What do I care? This, that. Not Hashem should help us. That we'll understand that first of all, will save us from being lured away from the tzaddik Bchinas Ben. And be attracted to tzaddik Bchinas Bas. There's covet there, there's wealth there, there's self-esteem there, whatever it is. The only thing that isn't there is the emes lamita. B'ezrat Hashem, next week we will learn how all this actually fits the master blueprint of the Creator to bring each and every one of us to where we need to get to. B'ezrat Hashem, I want to thank each and every one of you that was here today. And B'ezrat Hashem, we will be meeting Likutei Moharan on Zoom on Wednesday. So it will be Thursday as well, B'ezrat Hashem. But the Likutei Moharan Teich of Beis that we've learned till now will be Wednesday, B'ezrat Hashem. It's coming Wednesday at 8 o'clock, Bli Neder. I hope to see you all there.